Hi parents, good morning. Welcome to another edition of our chat show. So this morning we will continue from where we stop on our self-love series, self-love, self-care, health and social well-being. And today we'll be discussing on COVID-19 vaccination, the myth, the reality and the importance of COVID-19 vaccination. So we have with us this morning Dr. Hama. So she's an epidemiologist and a public health practitioner and research scientist. So today she will be speaking with us on this topic, and I hope this session bless us. Over to you, Ma. Good to see you, Ma. Good morning.
Good to see you. Hello. Thank you so much, Sister Joy, for inviting me to your lovely platform. And well done for all the wonderful work you're doing.
Thanks.
I was blessed watching one of your videos. So thank you. Thank you for bringing me on. And thank you for giving me this topic to talk about. This is not an easy topic to talk about, as we know. There's so many fears, so many concerns, so many worries and myths about this topic. And the topic is COVID-19, the vaccines and the myths around it. So I will start by reminding us of what COVID is. We all know that, I think it was at the end of 2019 that COVID started somewhere in China, in Wuhan, and then it spread from China. It went all over the world, and that's when it became a pandemic. So, not all diseases come in this magnitude. Some diseases come, they happen, people get the disease, maybe one or two people, they get treated and they get well, and we don't even hear of those kind of diseases. Some come in little outbreaks in areas and they get treated and the disease gets contained and it clears and we don't hear about it. Some come in little clusters like that. But COVID came in a different way, in a very big magnitude, And people will often say, this is one of the myths, why are people worrying us about COVID? After all, there have been other diseases, that have been worse than COVID, that have affected more people than COVID. They say all sorts of things about this, but COVID is a little bit different. We have to understand that every disease is different. So for example, COVID is a respiratory virus. So what does that mean? It means it affects our respiratory system. It targets our respiratory apparatus, our lungs that we use to breathe, And that is bad on its own because it is a vital system. It's not like this disease is affecting maybe, let's say, your hand or your finger or your hair is chopped off. Those are all bad as well. But at least you know that if your hand is broken, you know that you are still breathing. You know that if something is wrong somewhere, you're still breathing, you're still able to breathe without support, without oxygen. But COVID is different. It's actually trying to take away your breath, So that's why it is an emergency to be dealt with, So when I hear people say, why bother us about COVID? And people actually think that COVID is made up, is false, is fake. And that's my son coming. I hope we can continue with that. Yeah. So it's actually not fake. It's just the way that COVID is that makes it so big. And it has to be said the way it is. Nobody is magnifying it, nobody's promoting it, nobody's selling COVID. It just happens to be so, so COVID is so infectious, it is so contagious that you don't need to go out to go and look for COVID, to get COVID. Once you are out of your house, you are at risk of getting COVID because COVID is in the air, is in the droplets that people who are infected leave behind. So once you go out of your house, you're already at risk. COVID is not a disease, it's not a lifestyle disease or a choice disease. And I'll give you an example. For example, they say, eat lots of fruits, eat lots of vegetables, it's good for your health. But we can choose to say, no, I want to eat burger, I want to eat junk. that is your choice. You have the control. But with COVID, it's not like that. You do not control it. Once you go out, you are already a candidate of getting COVID. And this will all depend on your immunity, your immune system, how strong and how healthy you are. If you're very healthy, good. But if you already have underlying conditions that you didn't even know about, you're very prone to getting COVID and breaking down with COVID and getting to the hospital. So COVID is not a lifestyle disease. And I'll give you an example of a disease that, that you can, that is so big, but going out of your house does not put you at risk. Let's say, for example, bloodborne viruses, for example, HIV. We know that HIV is a big infection, but you're not at risk. You are only at risk if you have a physical contact, blood to blood, or fluid contact. Exchange of fluids with someone who has, for example, HIV, or let's say hepatitis B. So you can control those, but you cannot control COVID. So that's why it is very peculiar. Its reproduction and its transmission is very fast. So the reproduction rate, it keeps changing. The transmission is fast. It just changes. And now we are hearing of variants, new mutations. It's because we are going out and COVID is changing, is finding a way to adapt so that it can survive. COVID also wants to survive because it's a living thing. Like every human, wherever you go, you're looking for adaptive mechanism to cope. COVID is looking for that because we're trying to contain it and it's not seeing people. So it's changing so that it can survive. It really wants to survive while man is trying to fight it. It's trying to fight it off in the lab, so one way to deal with infections such as COVID is through vaccines, through vaccination. There are other ways of prevention, which we all know, for example, using masks, social distancing, staying at home, which is locked down, wash your hands as soon as you come back. We all know those procedures and those guidelines, but they're not enough. They're not enough. Vaccination goes a longer way, goes a great way, and vaccines have been described as the greatest public health achievements. Because vaccinations, we have been able to contain, to reduce, or even eradicate many, many diseases. I'll give you an example: measles, diphtheria, polio. If you're Nigerian, you know that last year we achieved 0 polio level in Nigeria, which is a good thing.
Yes.
Some influenzas. Have I mentioned smallpox, whooping cough, which is pertussis? So many have been brought low and many have been eradicated because of vaccines. And this is what we want to happen for COVID. We want COVID to be on that list where you see that vaccines have actually dealt with this, So vaccines are one way to deal with COVID. Now, COVID vaccines, some of them are mRNA vaccines. For example, the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, the Mrna vaccine, they are mRNA vaccines. The Oxford vaccine is an adenovirus-based vaccine. But all vaccines work with the same principle. And there are many other vaccines being developed. Now, India is making some, there's Johnson & Johnson making vaccines, all vaccines, we use the same principle. But for these ones that we have now, these vaccines we have today, they use the mRNA mechanism. And it's what that means is, what scientists have done is they have identified the virus itself, and they have found what helps it to cause disease. They have identified the protein. It has a spike protein, the outermost protein. That's the one that causes disease. They have found it, and they have found the code that makes the protein. So it's this code that they have used to make the vaccine. So the vaccine is not an actual coronavirus. It cannot cause disease. It's just the code that they pack well and use it to inject us. So this is what mRNA vaccine is, not something strange, So that is what they use. And I'm not going to talk about how vaccines are produced now. You just need to know that they have found that code, and that's what they use to make vaccine, and that's what they inject into us. And when they do that, we are able to mount what is called an immune response. That means we build antibodies. because our body now thinks it is COVID that has come. So it's trying to fight COVID, but it is our body, but it is a clever way of doing something because it's not the real thing. It is just fake, which was made up. But our body now produces the protein that would help that protein of that was found in the lab to work, because that protein, the genetic material needs something to make it produce so that our body can reproduce and can produce antibodies. So our own body makes the protein for it, and our own body is working together with a vaccine. You understand? So we now have antibodies, and our body now knows that, okay, I have been able to mount antibodies for COVID, and I have been able to fight COVID. But that is the body being deceived. So now when the real COVID comes, guess what? Our body remembers that it has fought it before, it can fight it again. So there's no chance of COVID staying and causing us problems because we've built the antibodies to defend us, So that's what happens. And none of these vaccines, I'm going to repeat this, none of these vaccines will give you COVID, because it's not the actual COVID. It's a different mechanism it's a different way of making vaccines. The old way of making vaccines, that's not what they use. This is new generational mRNA vaccines. These vaccines are safe. These mRNA vaccines that everybody's afraid of, they are safe. They have been checked in the labs. They have gone through clinical trials. There are very many stages of clinical trials, stage 1 up to 4, and there's monitoring and there's evaluation stages. They have all gone through those stages. No corners were cut, as people are thinking, because people say it was made so quick. They went through clinical trials, and they saw that the vaccine was fit to be served to humans. They have passed through the stage that any vaccine has passed through before, or any medicines at all, any drugs that we take, they have safely passed through those stages. They have been approved by the regulatory bodies that approve any drugs or vaccine in any country. For example, in the US, we know it's the FDA, Food and Drug Agency. Now, and then in Nigeria, if you're Nigerian, it's NAFDAC. If you're here in the UK, is the MHRA that regulates this. They check these things, okay? So they are safe. Now, another myth is they change our DNA. These vaccines do not change our DNA. When the vaccine is given to you, they quickly disintegrate. They quickly finish their job in no time, and they are dissolved and they are out of the body. Okay, so they do not go into your DNA. They do not change your DNA. Another myth is they say it makes you infertile. COVID vaccines do not interfere with fertility. They have nothing to do with fertility. It is, in fact, COVID virus, the virus itself, that will affect your fertility, because COVID goes and affects different organs. So it can affect your reproductive organ as well and make you infertile. That's the reverse. The vaccine will not do that. The vaccine will keep you safe and keep you well. Okay, so it does not interfere with your fertility. And some people have said that it is the mark of the beast. It is 666, 666. It isn't. If you're a Christian and you're thinking this, remember what the Bible says. The Antichrist is not here yet, and the Bible cannot be wrong. It is not here yet. By the time it comes, we have been raptured. That's what the Bible says. We are all would have been raptured. So you will not meet it. But those who meet it would be those who have identified with the with the beast, and then they accept the mark. If you're not in that category, why are you promoting this, and why are you worried? If you're not in the group that is going to accept the mark and identify with the Antichrist, you shouldn't be worried. You will not even be here. So it is not 666. It is not microchip. It is not something they are putting in your body to monitor you. So if you read your Bible very well, read Revelations 20, read 19, read 2 Thessalonians 24. They all tell you about the mark of the beast, about Antichrist. The Antichrist is not here yet. Another thing is, people are saying that it is a Bill Gates development. It has nothing to do with Bill Gates. I must say that Bill Gates is someone who is a philanthropist. He gives funds where he sees that there's a need for it. And he saw that there's a need in COVID in this COVID, in the fight for COVID. And Bill Gates is not the only funder. And I don't know why Bill Gates is the target. There are many funders who have put their resources together. These are people who have the mind of, in quotes, I'll say the mind of Christ, because they are charitable people. They saw the need. There's a pandemic. They put their resources. Some people did not mind getting poor to make sure there's the COVID can be tackled. They gave their money. So among other diseases that we've had in the past, this one, everybody was on their feet, all hands on deck. Okay, everybody was putting resources together. And that's one of the reasons actually why the vaccine was developed fast, because people were concerned, and the threat from this disease was so much that everything had to be left behind, and they focused on COVID. So if you leave everything behind and you're focusing on one thing, you will go a great length, you will achieve, you will go far. So this is one of the reasons why the vaccines came quick. There was fund to make it. There was the fact that it is a threat, the fact that already there was research already going on in the past. Remember, this is not the first mRNA vaccine. Remember, this is not the first coronavirus. We've had SARS in the past. We've had MERS. We have Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. They're all coronaviruses. We've had SARS. That was the first SARS. This is SARS-CoV-2. This is the second one. So they already have an idea of how these viruses are, how they work, how they reproduce, how they replicate. They already know about the genetic makeup of it. Already research was going on. So it's just more work done on that, that made it come so quick. So there are many reasons why this vaccine came quick. So I don't want people to be worried, to think that it is something that was brought into this world to kill people. No, time was taken to actually make this come to happen. So it's not 666, it's not Bill Gates, it's not anything. It's just concerned people who are working day and night in the laboratories to make sure we all get something to take care of COVID. So, the more the vaccine coverage, the more people get the vaccine, the better for everyone, the greater the chances of herd immunity. So if the vaccine is there and nobody is taking it, we will still be in the same place where we are. We'll be in square one. So the vaccines are here. People need to be taking it, okay? Because we are all our brothers' keepers. Remember, if you take it, okay, there's some people, remember, that cannot take these vaccines. Let me start that way. Pregnant women will not be able to take the vaccines. Children, babies, people who are sick, people who have underlying conditions, remember, they cannot take these vaccines. And because they have not been, the clinical trials did not go on for this group of people. So they're not giving them the vaccines. It's for the people that they checked. They checked people who are well and who are in a certain age and who are not pregnant, that they use in clinical trials. So they are sure that it is fine for these people. And that's why they're giving it to these people. But remember, these ones that cannot have the vaccine, the more me and you and everybody else takes the vaccine, the greater the chances that those people who cannot access the vaccine, who cannot take the vaccine, are covered. And that's why it's called community immunity, herd immunity. Because if let's say line up some people on the row, give them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, numbers. Number 1 will cover number 2. Number 3 will also cover number 2. That's how it is. So there's some people who will not take it, but the greater majority of people have taken it, and they cover for those people who cannot take it. And that means COVID will not, the virus will not multiply. The virus will not be transmitted, because it is short of where to go. Everyone is protected. The more the coverage, the better for all of us. The sooner we can get out of lockdown, the sooner things can happen, the sooner we can be free. And what about COVID collaterals? I'll explain what that is. There are things that have had to stop because of COVID. People have had to wait for a long time to get their operations. People who have cancers have not got treatment. People who need some kind of operations or some kind of treatment. Some people are in pains, but they have to be at the back seats now because COVID is the focus. So those people cannot be treated. But you see, when COVID is controlled and is contained, things can open up, people can have their treatment, operations can go on, people can be free of pain. So it's all our individual responsibility to make sure we stop COVID from spreading further, so that people can all have the treatment that they need. So those are some of the benefits of the vaccines. Are there any risks? Yes. Yes. Any normal, remember the vaccine is given to you in your upper arm, is an injection. You will agree with me that every injection has its own pain. There's no way that they will give you injection, you say, wow, nothing there. You can say that, but you know that it actually gave you a little scratch. It's got its own pain, you know. It can cause you swelling, it can cause you hotness, inflammation, and it depends from person to person. There's some people that will not even have some of those signs, while other people will have fever, cramps for a day or two, you know. So it just depends. So those are the risks. Further risk could be allergies. But the allergies are very, very rare, very rare. And if they're going to give you this vaccine in the hospital or your GP surgery, wherever, first of all, they will ask you, you have any allergies, so that they will know whether or not to give you. And if you have any allergies, you and your GP would have even discussed it before you get a letter for your vaccines. So the allergy part of it is very rare, very, very rare will you hear that someone developed an anaphylactic reaction because of COVID. They will give you the leaflet before you see, look at the ingredients. They are not hiding anything from anybody. It is a very transparent thing. The manufacturers have put it there. The healthcare provider giving you the vaccine will show you, make sure you understand everything. Are you happy? Nobody is hiding anything, you know, so you get it and then you sit down, you don't go. Nobody will let you go because they want to watch you in case you develop any reactions, any allergies. And if you do, 1, 2, 3, they have dealt with it, you know, and then you are free to go home. But we've not even heard of these allergies, you know, of anything serious. If there has been any on the news, you would have heard it. I mean, the big things are being said. Prince Philip, the husband of the Queen, is in the hospital today. They are saying it. So there's nothing anybody's going to hide. And who is the common man that they will not say, oh, this one developed a reaction? They will say it if it's happening. You know, so those are the risks. I tell you that the risk of the vaccine is far milder and smaller than the risk of contracting COVID. If you put it on a scale, the risk of getting COVID is massive than the risk of 2 days of pain, of injection sites, of, you know, so the benefits outweigh the risk. So this is my encouragement to us today. If you are being called to go and get the vaccine, you should go. Take away fear, take away worry, take away any anxiety you have because of the information that you have heard today. Stop listening to those messages on WhatsApp. Stop listening to those media things that you cannot verify their sources. Every day you wake up, there's a new person shaking in WhatsApp. They say they took a vaccine and this is how they're behaving. Those are not credible. These are just people who are, some of this information is for you to laugh. Some of them are not for you to take seriously. Some of this information, you need to know the difference between different types of information. And I did a talk on this some time ago, misinformation disorder. You know, some information is not to be taken seriously. They are for jokes, they are as satires, they are just to be taken with a pinch of salt, while some are actually done to cause harm. You know, so you need to know the difference. If you think this is not, you don't understand this, check the source. If you can't even find the source in a credible website, in a credible place, please do not take it as the gospel truth and start sharing it and start causing fear and start causing pain for people. Mind the kind of information you get. If you have any concerns, there are trusted people. Your doctor will be able to answer your question. Your GP, ask anywhere, go to credible websites or read journals, or, you know, and I will leave my contact if you have any question regarding anything that I have said, because the time is so short that I'm not able to go deep and talk about every point in great details, but you can ask me any questions at the end. So listen to experts. Experts have the answers. And stop listening to fake stories and, you know, things that will just, you know, make you have sleepless nights. So do not fear, do not be dismayed. Just get the right information and you'll be fine. I will tell you that I've got my own vaccines and I'm here. I am well. I'm not dead. I am still human. My DNA is not changed. I am still an apple of God's eye. I am not antichrist. God will not cast me away from his presence because I have taken a vaccine. God has no business with what you do with vaccine or medicine. That is nothing. It is your salvation, if you're a Christian, that is important to him, not what you eat. The fruits, the vegetable, or the medicines, they are not what will sever your relationship with God. Okay, so this is my little encouragement to us this morning. I just hope that all I've said makes sense. Sister Joy, thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'll
Thank
be
you,
glad to
ma.
come again to make any clarification. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you so much, ma, for your time. We are really blessed with that session. God bless you, ma. God bless you for your time. So our parents out there, our mommy has come, to enlighten us about this vaccination. She has been very precise in terms of her explanation, and she has helped us clear most of the myths that we've heard, on social media. So that some of the myth is the vaccination is 666, and unfortunately, I think yeah, even if we look at it, from biblical point of view, we know that's not right, because we all know what the Bible say about 666 is after rapture, and so we've not raptured. So we shouldn't be thinking of 666, by now. So that is not the information is not valid. So we need to be aware. So she has giving us a lot of information, so we might want to watch this video again and again, share with our family, friends, our everybody around us, because like you said, we need to be responsible, because this COVID-19 is here to stay anyway. So, and the government, they put everything together. They put all the resources, all the energy, to try their best to eradicate this disease, as like every other disease, like chickenpox, measles, and so on. So it is now for us now to be individual responsible, so that we do not spread this disease, around. And the vaccination has been as a result of created as a result of community immunity. So everybody needs to be protected. So we need to by getting this vaccination, it's not for ourselves alone, and it's also for the help of others, people that are high risk, people that won't be able to get this vaccine, because for example, the pregnant women, the kids, the little ones. So we need to be kind enough, to take this vaccination, and to try as much as possible to educate people from what we've had, from her this morning. I pray this session bless us, and I pray may good God be with us. So I wish every one of us a very lovely week ahead. Have a great week. Bye bye. Bye for now.